you can still stream to LinkedIn profile by going to the LinkedIn profile
Oh.
page and clicking go live. So maybe it's not. Oh no, streaming to LinkedIn profile unavailable.
Oh.
So
Where
where are
does
we
it say
going live
that?
then?
So it says YouTube on my
We're
YouTube
live.
channel
Hi, cheers.
and TikTok, and we're live. Annoying about the LinkedIn though. I'm wondering, we'll do that next time, I guess, because you're on LinkedIn a lot, so that would be good. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's us, the Funeralistas. We are back. I'm Jess. This is...
Oh, I'm Katie.
And Gita.
I think we should do that again. I'm Jess.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Gita.
We're not picking up this live thing.
Like award-winning and award-nominated celebrants who work in the
Woohoo.
funeral industry. Katie is a death doula. I am a specialist in living funerals, and Gita is a funeral director as well as a funeral celebrant. So we are big
Humanist
on death,
celebrant.
a humanist
Sorry.
celebrant specifically. We are big on death and big on dying, but most of all, we're really great friends. So we are like the three amigos, and we call ourselves the Funeralistas. So we just wanted you to join us from time to time when we're having a chat, because we're quite often having a chat anyway, and we just thought it'd be quite nice for you to join us and to hear a little bit from the inside about what our work is like, what's out there for you, and all the choices that you have. Today, we are following on from our last podcast. We're going to talk about how to choose your funeral celebrant. So I'm going to hand over to Katie first of all, because I think she has something prepped. I'm hoping she does.
Do I?
I hope you have. I haven't.
So where were we? So the last chat, yeah, we talked a lot about, there was an experience you had about a funeral, wasn't there, where they didn't have a celebrant, and there was a lot of unknown, a lot of things that could have been done differently, just a lot of reflection on the impact then that had on the funeral, the farewell of the person, and your experience then of grief, as well as the experience of everybody there. So yeah, that's where we've come from, isn't it, as to why we're talking about celebrants. I think having the right celebrant lead your person service can literally make or break the service and your grief. I think that's how important it is to find the right person to deliver or support or guide or facilitate in whichever way you want the service or your farewell of the person. So obviously a celebrant could be as involved or not as people want. We could be a bit of a master of ceremonies. We could do the whole shebang. We can read everybody's tributes. We could, there's multiple ways that we can be present during a farewell. But I think we are the difference between it being something that you want to remember that supports your grief, and then being something that just makes your grief a million times harder and changes the direction where you go, literally when you step out of that chapel, crematorium, hall, wherever you are, door. So as far as picking a celebrant, I think we need people to know that you can. You don't have to do what the funeral director says. You don't have to go by the person that, the other person had, because that's just what they do and they seem all right. If you want something particularly specific, or you want a specific type of person, you're hoping for some kind of a different energy, or something that you know that you really want to represent your person and their life, you can shop around. And that's the thing. I think you then have to find somebody that feels right. Doesn't matter what qualifications they have or don't have. It doesn't matter what awards they have, although, people like us have them. But it doesn't, but none of that matters. If you meet somebody and you go, oh my gosh, they were brilliant, I love them, I could have talked to them for hours, they totally got me, then that's the right celebrant for you. That's my 2 penneth worth on the whole situation.
So you're feeling it instinctively, intuitively, feeling it in your body. This is the person I just know, and that's what I'm going to do.
And on that, some people might find that like, gosh, how do I know that? I think it might be easier for people to identify who they don't click with. Like sometimes, so it happened recently where a family met a very lovely celebrant, but went to the funeral director and said, look, they're just not right. Something's just not right. I'm just not feeling it. And they got really upset. Funeral director called me and said, would you meet them? And they were like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. This is how it's supposed to feel. So they didn't necessarily know how they wanted to feel initially. They just knew when they met this other person that it just wasn't right. And that's no shade or reflection on that person. It just, for them, was like, it's not gelling. Something's not like, when things just don't feel, they feel uncomfortable within you. Mentally, there's something you can't shift.
Had they had an opportunity to have a connection call ahead of time, or were they just recommended by the FD? And then, so they didn't. So there you go. That's something to talk about.
But interestingly, they were recommended by the FD genuinely from a good place, because this particular celebrant had a lot of similar interests to the person that had died. So it was done with the very best intention of this person would get on really well with you because they'll totally get the person that's died's character, what they enjoyed. But that's just a thing on paper. Yes, and they were lovely, and on paper it seemed like it was going to be a really good match, but emotionally it just wasn't.
So
So I think
moral
if
of the
you meet,
story, have a chat with your person, even if they're recommended, even if they're highly
Yeah.
recommended, even if your FD knows you. And when
Yeah.
I'm saying FD, I'm saying funeral director, for those of you listening who don't know what I'm talking about. You'll find that sometimes you might actually know your funeral director really well. They know you really well. They seem to think that they know what you need, and it seems like they do. Still have a check-in with that person ahead of
Yes.
time.
Yeah. And to just have that chat. And it's the same way that when you meet friends or you go to dinner and you meet other couples, or there's other people at a party and you'll go, oh, don't really like them very much, got a funny vibe off of them. Or you'll go, oh my gosh, I had this really great chat with this random person that I never spoke to before and she was so lovely. It's that. So just be human about it. Don't worry or get caught up too much on the paperwork side of it, or where, you know, or all the other practicalities. Actually, if somebody feels right, go with that, go with your gut.
And there's all these different ways of doing it. And I bet Gidda might have a different way, because you'll get to know us listeners. We're all different. And we've got Katie, who's a bit more woo, and we've got me, I don't know how to describe, and we've got Gidda, who's humanist and very rational. So we all have a different way of doing it. I think it's interesting what you said about it appeared on paper that you had things in common, but it is very often the case that just because you have a hobby in common, or a common interest, a common identity, is not necessarily the case that you have personalities that gel. And it might be that what you want from your celebrant isn't so much a personal shared history or a shared connection over a hobby or something. It might be that what you want from your celebrant is somebody who's really kick-ass with your chaotic family, or you need someone who knows a lot of fact. So I'm going to ask you to pick up from a humanist perspective what she would recommend for people to think about when they're choosing a funeral celebrant.
Well, first of all, I think maybe you're selling me a bit short calling me irrational, because I was trying not to laugh when you said that.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
I know humanism is often thought as rational, but actually we just see the magic in the world, the real world, and the magic of nature and human
I thought you were making a joke
and
saying I was saying you were too rational. I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm not saying that you're.
But actually, no, it was just a really good place to pick up, because because this is the thing, if people are worried about that a non-religious or specifically humanist service or ceremony might be too rational or too square or something like that, that's far from it. It just means non-religious, and actually finding beauty and magic and connection in the human stories, which is the same for all celebrants and stuff, but it's just also without the religion. So maybe there's just an even more eagerness to find that as well. At least as a humanist, that's what I have. There's a real eagerness in the stories, and also knowing we all come from the same. You know, if I was a bit more, not woo, but if I was a bit more, I just love to think about the idea that we're all really just stardust and stories. We come from stardust and we're all connected through stories, and I love that. Religion does that too, but we just don't attribute it to religion, or maybe traditionally called spirituality, because I think spirituality is something different these days, which is great, because then I can call myself spiritual too. But that is one way of finding your celebrant, is to go back and start with what are the deal breakers or must-haves. Because it's a place to start, isn't it? Instead of just letting your funeral director choose, like give you the one that they all.
Oh, where did she go? Oh, this is the joys of going live. But now I can't hear you either. Can you hear me?
You can hear me, because I had turned my mic off, because I was trying to not get any extra noise. Bear
Oh,
with
how
us,
funny.
callers.
I think Geeta's onto something there, though, saying about figuring out what your non-negotiables are.
Yeah, and it's
So
a bit
if
like
you
what
know
you
that
said.
so you figure out the things that you're absolutely not willing to compromise on that has to happen, and what you find somebody that matches that, and that's a good place to start. So whether it is a faith thing, so you particularly want somebody that is a humanist or that is woo or that is Catholic, you find that, and if that's a non-negotiable, then that's your great starting point. But then
it's
other
really
than that, you
good.
think about the things that you desperately need, want, and have to have. And then you don't, if that's, like I said, my friend Judith, a Dandelion, she talks about those non-negotiables, you know, what is in there that you are absolutely not willing to let go of, and then start there. I was just saying that makes sense, Geeta, what you were saying.
And also what you said about the selling. Yeah, it's really, really good. I was just going to say that I really do think you're right about the humanist thing, that it is true. It sounded as though humanists were kind of stiff, and I don't think of it like that. But now that you've said it, I can see that. And I think you really do seek magic. You really do.
But also, there's nothing wrong with, you might also be organising a funeral and you want something a little bit more rational, but maybe it's another word we're looking for, but that's okay too.
Yeah.
But so just to continue with what I was saying, so I don't know what happened, I got kicked off, is that, you know, you can start there. And also, so first of all, you can tell your funeral director that. You can tell, I want a humanist one, I want a spiritual one, I want this faith. And then you can say, also, it's okay to say, I want a woman, I want a man, I want someone younger, I want someone with much more life experience, I want someone who's a parent, you know, I want someone who, you know, who is not a parent or something. That's okay to do that as well. You are allowed to say that to your funeral director. They won't tell you the celebrant, or even if you have some other strange non-negotiables. And then you can start there, and then you can say to them, and I'd like to not just meet one, can you give me a couple? Can you give me a couple? And actually the funeral director should really have a kind of a little bio on the celebrants, I think. Just like you could, instead of going through your funeral director, there are directories for celebrants. There is one for you can go on Humanist UK, all celebrants that are accredited, trained and accredited there. Other training organisations, there's the celebrant directory, there's loads of others. So you could just search for that, and there you'll see some have pictures and bios and testimonials, and just like any other professional person, most of us have websites in some way, form, shape. So that can be really, really helpful. There was just one thing, like what you started with, Katie, you were talking about what kind of not maybe how to find them, but what kind is also the right one, or why you should have one, really. So because you can do it yourself, of course you can. Nobody stops you from doing that. And I'm not even going to say all the other things because you already said it, Katie, but there was just one thing I was thinking of that has sometimes been helpful, is someone might write the eulogy or the tribute to someone's life, have other contributions and things, and feel that they need to speak them, or you can speak them for them. But one reason why you might have a celebrant that, first of all, literally holds the space, holds control of everything, manages everything. Also, there are practical things. We know how to work the technology and the crematorium if it's there. We know how to make something timed, because if you do go to a crematorium chapel, you only have a certain amount of time, or wherever it is, or just the timing that really fits. We know what works really well and how it works. You don't, so you don't hang on too long with something and something's not too short. But I think, from what I've heard from clients and from what you can see when we stand up there and we look out, we can see that being at a funeral or celebration of life or memorial or something, being there is an experience. It's an experience that you deserve to have. So instead of having to be in charge of it, instead of providing the experience, you can have the experience, because that day is probably the last day. That is another day you can still create memories with or for that person that died. After they die, you still have this day to create some amazing memories. even better because you got everyone there that could make it, that loved that person too. It's an amazing, people walk away with these amazing memories that can continue to hold on to. And you deserve to have that experience rather than provide it. And I think that's really important.
I couldn't agree more. I think so. You don't get to relax into it if you're worrying about pressing buttons, which goes back. If you haven't listened to our first podcast, listen back to that. And in that, I'm talking a little bit about the disadvantages of doing it without a celebrant if you don't have the skills or the knowledge. Some people do, and sometimes a family-led ceremony is amazing, but there are disadvantages if you don't know how the crems work and you don't know where the buttons are and you don't know how to play the music. I'm thinking about my answer to the question, how to choose a funeral celebrant, and there's something in between. I think it's something that's come up already, is that we have websites and we have bios. We're not necessarily on the funeral director's websites, but it's just like any other business. And I hate talking about my work as a business. And I know that that sits really uncomfortably because funerals should not be business. But we actually do function in the world in a similar way, in that you can go online and you can read our reviews. And you will find Katie Costello's reviews, Gita spelled Gitte, Monis, Monis, and me, Jessica May. You can look us up and we will all show you on our Google business profiles all of our reviews. And between us, we've got hundreds. So you can get the word of mouth thing. Because I was going to say, what's really, really valuable in terms of how to choose your celebrant is having a word of mouth recommendation, which for a lot of us is how we get our work. Because someone said, I went to this funeral, she was great, I loved her style, I think she'd really work for you. Or funeral directors sometimes have obviously seen us working. But you can go further than that. If you want more testimonials, reviews, kind words, whatever they're called, you usually will find us on socials, and you'll usually find a little bit of a taste of our personalities and who we are on there. So it is a marketplace like any other. And I think word of mouth is still really, really important in funeral, choosing your funeral celebrants. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The thing I think, though, with that is that so many people go to their FD first. They're then guided or led by the FD, who will then suggest maybe one or two, maybe very good, brilliant celebrants. But if somebody knew ahead of time that they could actually choose somebody themselves, I think more people would probably have a more appropriate service. But then what happens is people have the celebrant from the FD who is very lovely, and they come away going, well, that was nice. Whereas it could have been, oh my gosh, that was beautiful. What an incredibly appropriately fitting, bespoke service for my person. So I think the biggest thing is, if you know somebody's poorly, or before you do anything with signing up to the FD, spend 20 minutes going through social media, like you said, spend 20 minutes Googling celebrants in your local area, see who you like the look of, the sound of, the reviews of, check out their socials, listen to them talk. Hopefully there's some kind of video or something with them somewhere, and then see, actually, God, oh my God, her voice is really irritating, or God, she talks a lot, don't want her. Had that. But that's the point. But I think people need to know that this is it doesn't need to be a whole big pressurized job of finding a celebrant. Just 20 minutes scrolling through socials, which you would do anyway, but just make it bespoke for bespoke search for celebrants.
So
yeah, exactly.
And actually, word of mouth, it also works in, well, think about it. Another one-person business service professional. If you are looking for a dance teacher, a plumber, someone you trust with something important, okay, maybe not dance teacher, a nanny. If you need a nanny, right? If you need someone to look after your children, what are you going to base it on? Personal recommendations, right? So, especially like you will ask another parent, oh, do you know any nannies? Or you're saying, you're talking amongst your friends, I need a nanny. Someone will say, oh, we had this most amazing nanny when our children were small. There you go. Could even be someone you know. There'll probably be somebody in your extended network that is a celebrant. So ask in your own network first. And if the person that then recommends or provides the connection, someone you trust as well, even better. And they will probably also be really honest and say what type of person that celebrant is, because that's the first thing. We make a personal connection. I mean, loads of my recent funerals have come through personal connections.
That dance group has delivered.
Had a little bit of a
we have a joke. We have a joke that we don't know what she's doing to that
killing
dance
off
group.
Friend's parents.
She's
sorry, that was true.
Which leads me to, we've got another, because we're trying to be succinct, listeners, which we're not usually. We've got another 7 minutes and 45 seconds. I think we should say what we would look for in a funeral celebrant, which is really, really hard when it's your job. So I think one of my criteria would be, I think I would have to have a really similar sense of humor. The humor would be really, really important to me. I was only just thinking about it now. Really?
That was my first thought. Fun.
Was it? Oh, I would never have known. I was literally just thinking about it now. Is that true for you as well? Just humor?
For me, it is. 100%. Because I think I'm hilarious, so somebody should really be able to
hilarious too.
to show that, right?
We do think you're hilarious. Well, you are. Yeah. Katie, what about you?
See, the first thing I thought of was, I can't stand this, like when the feeling of there's an elephant in the room and nobody talks about it.
Yes.
I would have to have somebody that was completely authentically themselves. So that's the first thing that came to mind. People go, oh, hello, how are you? I'd be like, nah, you're not for me. Come in and go, God, this is so horrible. I need that relaxed, warm naturalness about somebody. I don't want somebody that they walk in a suit and they feel like they're performing. I want somebody that comes in and I can feel that they're interested and invested in me and my story and my person and the situation, because I see so many celebrants that walk into every family the same. And I was going to say as well, when you mentioned about word of mouth, totally agree. 80% of my funerals are now a word of mouth. Yeah. But equally, on the flip side of that, I did a service where somebody at a local crematorium, and you had the classic, I've been here far too much lately, because sadly a lot of people in their life had died. And they said, but you were a breath of fresh air. Nice to see a different face. Because they sadly had been to 2 or 3 of the same person from the same FD. So therefore, it doesn't feel personal, because sadly, if people are rocking up to multiple funerals that are done by multiple FD, or even not multiple FD, but a celebrant that boshes out the services 17 a week, that's a whole other conversation. But
yeah, that's next week.
This gentleman walked in knowing exactly what he was going to get from these other services, and walked into mine and went, oh, okay, she's different. But then went, oh, that was totally not like the others, in a good way, thankfully. So I don't want that person either. I would want somebody that I felt was genuinely invested. I wouldn't want somebody to come and sit in and ask me a scripted questionnaire either. Now, maybe that's because of the way I work, like you said about humor. I'd want the humor and the lightness, absolutely. But for me, the first thing I would want is to feel that they were themselves. I don't want to feel like anyone's putting on a show. Genuine. Yeah. And that's what I mean. Yeah. I don't want it to be this. Are we allowed to swear?
I think it would be really weird if we didn't.
I mean, I have to say, so I went to a funeral for a very, very good friend.
Oh, hang on a minute. Did you finish your point, Katie? And then we'll go on.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
No, it's all right. No. I was just going to say, I don't want that.
I was just going to swear, which I was looking forward to.
No, when people say, when there's something going on and nobody's calling it out, I will call it out. People argue and then there's tension and nobody says anything. It's the bullshit. It's what I can't stand.
You've got a bullshit detector.
Well, it's not even a detector. It's just an alarm that goes off within me that goes, I'm not comfortable. Can we just talk about this, please? And I found with some celebrants that I've met have that, because it's a performance. It's right. Do you know what I mean? And then they're going, oh, so I'm so sorry to hear that your person passed away. Hold on. If you're going to be standing up there talking about my person, you at least need to be able to face this.
Yeah.
The way that you're expecting us to bear all and tell you everything. So it's that bullshit feeling I don't want.
Yeah, I really
that was my point about that.
I really get that. What were you going to say, Gina?
Oh, I've forgotten now. I think, just the warmth. Oh yeah, so I went to a very close friend of mine died, and she took her own life, and the celebrant there first of all knew there were going to be speakers, me and the family. And at no point before I was due to speak, no point before the ceremony outside, did he approach me or introduce himself to me. And I remember he was one of the last people to turn up to the chapel as well. And it's just, and yes, he did say hello to the family he knew. So something I would do is, even though I haven't met the other speakers or contributors, I will say to my person when we're waiting outside, and I'll be standing outside chatting, get there early and check everything in the chapel, if we're in the chapel. Then I'll come out and I'll chat, and I'll go around and chat and check, are you here for this, for
Steve, Bob, yeah.
Dora? Are you here for, no, okay, how did you know them? Then I'll find the important people, and then I'll say, okay, so could I meet this person or that person, or they're not here. This, I think, is so important because, again, if we go back to allowing, even if people are going to speak, we're going to try, I think one of our jobs is, one of our roles is really, really important, is to create that experience for everyone there. And actually quite personalized. So when we talk about certain things in the ceremony, we make sure that that person that's connected to that feels special or feels like there's a connection there. So if we don't know them, even if we're just introducing them to speak, although I would always have something beforehand, make a connection, then it doesn't, then they're not able to have an experience either. If they're just called up to say something and sit down, there's got to be some connection. I think that's important, and that's what I would want too. I would want connection, and I'll probably have you two doing it together. So, oh yeah, I'm not even the oldest, but you never know. So if you survive me, you can both do it. You could do it like a little duo comedy act.
Oh my God, that would be brilliant. But
I will rise from the grave and haunt you if you wear animal print.
But we will.
Oh, no, that was my first thing. We were both rocking up in animal print.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to talk about all the spiritual woo-woo stuff and surround you in crystals.
I have a question. It's a little bit off-piste, but because we can tie it to the celebrant. Would you, for your funeral, would you wish that there was a dress code? Which either way it goes.
100% I want a dress code. Here's why. The wedding I did last week, they had funky smart, and they defined it on the invitation. Think patterns, colours, and big accessories for some drama.
Love that.
I loved it. And I am having you all wear flowers. So I just want you all to wear flowers, and the dress code is wear flowers in your beard, on your wrists, on your clothes. I want you to just come.
I'm going to order all the flowers, and I'm going to make it like a bloody meadow in there.
I love you for that. I love you for that.
I'm going to buy a wedding dress and have it covered in flowers.
I love it.
To outdo you.
It'd be great to say, come dressed as if you're going to a wedding.
That's a brilliant idea.
Do you know what? I did a funeral last year. It was a little way away. The family asked me to go, kind of one of those things you align all the stars, so everyone came from near and far. The message was, come bright colours. It was very summery. They had a string quartet playing, so everyone came in almost like those kind of ladies' day sort of style dresses. Some had fascinators. It was beautiful, and even the chapel attendant said to me, he said, "You all look like you're here for a wedding, not a funeral."
That's amazing.
Like, that's the plan.
Oh, I love that. What about you? What do you want us to wear?
Oh yeah, bright colours. Just, patterns, anything as loud as anybody likes, but definitely I don't want somber. I like the idea of formal, but make it like a bright red suit. Come with intention. Do you know what I mean? But colour, absolutely.
Good. What were you going to say?
I haven't got an answer for that, but I kind of like black. So, but not. But maybe I would like to deviate for the funeral. Actually, I don't have an answer for it, but I was going to connect it to, I think it's great to also have a celebrant that, like you said, don't just turn up in the boring suit or something, but also someone who's willing to work with you. For example, when we work on weddings, we will make sure that we dress accordingly. First of all, we want to fit in the theme, but not too much, because then you look like one of the bridesmaids or something. And I'm sure we all do that. We ask, is there anything you want me to wear or not to? I say, is there anything you want me to wear or not to wear? And it's really difficult. And they always say, oh, whatever you feel comfortable in. It's like, I don't think you know what I feel comfortable in, but it's so, you know,
I'll be standing up in my pajamas.
Black was something else, and it's not because traditional. It's because 2/3 of my wardrobe is black, and I do feel comfortable in black. But look, I'm black and red. But no,
Well,
I
you
have a
we've run
green
out of time.
jacket, not a suit jacket, like quite a casual, sporty jacket.
It's very lovely.
And,
We've run out of time with this. Is what half an hour feels like, apparently. Awful.
Can I just ask? Can we ask one question?
Yeah.
What is the craziest outfit you have worn to a funeral as a celebrant?
Me first. Sequined shift dress, disco ball, fairy lights flashing around my neck. Katie?
Perfect. 2 outfits spring to mind: biker leathers and wellies and denim.
Wellies and
Brilliant.
So like a denim. So it had a denim jacket, jeans, and welly boots.
I love denim. I have a dream to wear denim as a work uniform.
Giddy, what's yours?
Something super crazy. I guess just like for me, super crazy was when I wore loads of colours and not a single item of black.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
I just say I don't wear black for the formal bit or traditional bit at all.
If you ever wore pink, I'd be amazed. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up. So for next week, what did we say we were going to talk about? As it came up, and I said that's for next week. What was it?
I said something about FDs, celebrants.
Well, we'll
maybe
look it
we
up.
could just talk about funeral directors, how funeral directors, how funeral directors can make a funeral better. Something around that, something positive.
There was something really specific.
Yeah, but come with ideas then about the things you have that you can make a choice about and things that FDs can support you with. Because I think some people think, oh, the FD won't do that.
So what makes a funeral director good?
Maybe we'll all come with 3 things.
What makes a funeral director good?
And we think 3 things that we would want or hope from a funeral director that we want other people to know.
Yes.
And that's a really good one because we can then also bring it to us. What would we want for our funeral? Blah, blah. I think it's a nice one to land with those last ones. What we do, what we want.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get us with our structure. So everybody, if you have anything that you would love,
what's going on?
No, we sound like we do, but and that you need from your celebrant as well. So anyone that wants to us to talk about something particular, anybody that would like us to visit their community group locally in East Sussex, I mean, we'll go anywhere. West Sussex, London, whatever. We're coming. If you can get us there, we'll be there. So we can all pile into a car and we'll come visit you. If you can just pay for our petrol, put us up somewhere. If you want us to speak, come on your podcasts, come on your YouTube channels, anything like that, let us know. Get in touch with any of your questions, anything that you want us to talk about, any guest speakers you might like us to work with, and we are here for you. So I've been Jess. She's been
Katie.
And she's been, yes. Thanks, everybody.
We need to work on that.